Hi everyone, Dan Holmes here on April Fool's Day. One of the huge themes in the fraud market for the last 12, 18 months has been this concept of Gen AI and how Gen AI has been used to fool good individuals into doing malicious things on behalf of the fraudster. We're going to talk about how banks can use Gen AI for good to better protect victims and consumers as the fraudsters try and exploit it for malicious reasons. I perhaps just wanted to share a quick story about a fraud that I saw in the media recently, which was there was a young girl. She was under 20. She, like most girls of that age, had social media profiles, TikToks, Instagrams, Facebooks, all these things. She posts a bunch of videos on there. It was very easy for fraudsters to be able to find those videos, record a 20-second snippet of her voice, and then use Gen AI in a malicious way to be able to clone that voice and then use that in a way that could convince family members that she was under duress. So in this particular case, the fraudsters called this girl's parents, purported to be her, using her cloned voice, and said, "Hey, look, I've been kidnapped. I'm in trouble. You need to send X $1,000 to this account right now if you want to see me again." So you obviously a huge emotional state that parent finds themselves in, right? And in this particular situation, they went ahead and they made that transaction. Now, how do we kind of see this from the bank's perspective, right? So is there much that the banks can do to stop that happening? I guess the answer is probably not. I'm just curious as to your observations on this topic.
It's examples like that make it real why we do what we do. The challenge you then have is that individual's going to call up and they don't want to speak to a fraud agent when they think their daughter's been kidnapped. And actually, I think that's the really, really hard bit that banks are going to have to kind of deal with. They're going to have people that are even more convinced. So look, the first thing there is, I think actually you can use Gen AI. Ironically, I think in that scenario, if you think about it, you could equally also use that same tool to really start to understand what does work to break the spell. What can you say in that scenario? How do you convince that individual to just take those 5 seconds and think again? Again, it could be really simple things like in that scenario saying, "Have you spoken to your daughter?" Right? Like it could be something simple as that of picking up the phone, because again, that might not be your natural reaction as a parent if you get told your child is in danger, right? You're probably not going to go, "Hang on a minute, what I should do logically here is..." So I think actually it's really important to think about that. I think it's easy to get carried away with there's this new technology and it's completely going to change the game. I don't think it does. I think it helps the scammers, it helps the fraudsters, but equally we can use it to our benefit as well. But then bringing it back down to, if I think about my time working as a fraud practitioner, I still think that in this world of scams, the customer is that first line of defense. And I don't think that there's ever a world where we won't be doing enough like fraud awareness. And I think when you get to the heart of it, actually the person on the other end of the phone at the bank that picks up the phone probably has to be a very different type of individual. And it's easier for me to sit here and say that, right? But that's a reality. I think you're going to have a far more empathetic conversation with the person on the other end of the phone. You're going to have to really get into what's happening, why are they scared, why are they worried, try and help them through it, because technology will go so far. But the person that picks up the phone or sees that email has to be the one that's that first line of defense.